and I had to make a choice. Do I eat or do I cry on the floor? Red carpets, business class flying all over the world, drinking, eating the most amazing things, great experiences. It was a dream. I was extremely successful. But in reality, I lost a lot of weight. I was getting eczema on my face. I was waking up with panic attacks. I didn't want to have this pressure on top of me. And that's when I hit the switch and changed my life completely.
Do you remember the moment you made this decision? Hi, I'm Alicia Flames, and this is Feminine Flames. I would like to welcome our guest today, Nadina Tyropolis. She's a woman who knows the meaning of making bold decisions in order to be more aligned. I would like you to know her. Hi, Nadina, how are you today?
I'm amazing. I'm super excited to be here.
And I would like you to introduce yourself, to describe who you are.
Beautiful. So I consider myself Greek, even though my trail goes way back than just being Greek. My mom is Scottish. My dad was born and raised in Sudan. And even though I do have a Greek soul, I have been traveling and living abroad for the last 15 years. Spain is my seventh country to live in. I lived in the UK, in Singapore, in Dubai, in Italy, mostly for work, but also because of my curiosity to explore and know more about the world.
Wow. But who you are as a person, I mean, we know that you're very international.
Yes.
But what moves you?
Absolutely. I am someone who, as I said before, I am very curious. I have a passion in helping people. I'm a very strong empath. So I really tend to connect with people and not just verbally, but also with what is happening around them and to be able to put myself in their shoes. I was someone that followed a very traditional way of go to school, graduate, finish university, go get a master's degree, go into the workforce. And I soon figured out, well, soon, it took me 15 years, but I figured out that that was not the way for me. So because of that, I had to really tap into who I was, as you say, because up until that time, I thought I was this person that I was going to be a businesswoman, I was going to be a CMO, after that a CEO, follow the typical trajectory. And then when I completely let go of all that, I had to rediscover that that's not who I was. And I was someone completely different. I was someone that wanted to work with people. I was someone that wanted to help explore and help others explore themselves even more understand who it is that they actually are at the core.
Wow. Before we dive in more deeply into all this journey, I would like to start from the beginning. You, Adina, as a little girl, what were your dreams? How were you?
I remember one thing I always told my parents when they asked me, what are you going to be when you grow up? I told them, I'm going to live in Australia. No, but what are you going to be? I don't care. I just know that I'm going to live in Australia. I still haven't lived in Australia.
Not yet.
You never know. But from very young, I knew that I wanted to leave. I felt that I had these wings. And then I was very, I have to say, different. All the little girls were doing ballet or gymnastics, and I was doing Muay Thai. Completely opposite. The girls were playing with Barbies. I was playing with trains and cars and, boys, what was considered back then boys' toys. And I was never really great at school, surprisingly, because I was always looking out of the window. I was always wanting to be outside. I wanted to be doing more things in nature. So I didn't graduate with high marks. And then, surprisingly, at a very young age, I went and I studied sports, completely unrelated to what I'm doing today and what I have done in my career. But it was just because I was really good at sports. I loved it. It connected me to people in a way that I was really passionate about. And that's sort of how my story started, by studying sports.
Wow, it's amazing how seeds are planted when you're young the international side of you, willing to live abroad. Um, and I would like to know about your next chapter when you, in your teenage years, those experiences when you were young, a little girl, how did they influence the choices you made about studies, about career?
Yeah. My parents were people who were very hardworking. So I think growing up in a house and seeing your parents spending most of their time outside the house working, that kind of influenced also my work ethic. So my dad was an airplane mechanic and he used to work for the Greek national carrier, Olympic Airlines. But he used to work shifts, so I didn't get to see him that often. And whenever he was home, he was quite tired. And then my mom, she always had a very entrepreneurship mind, extremely creative. She designed and she created costumes for ballet and for theater. And how it all started was because my sister was a ballerina and she was extremely good at it. And then my mom saw that the prices of all these things that she had to buy for her were so expensive. And then she said, you know what? I'm going to start making them. And that was a very entrepreneurial mind. And then she moved on to become the importer of a very specific brand for ballet shoes and all that stuff. And she created this little business almost from the garage of our house. So then watching these two very different aspects, my dad, very engineer, very logical, very one, two, three, this bolt goes there, that's how you make it. And then my mom, who's spreading glitter all around the house, these two sides came together because I am very logical, but I'm also extremely creative. Like I love glitter and I love to put things together and make things work. So I think that kind of influenced my job perception for the future. My dad, having been raised in Sudan, he had a very old school mentality. So his mentality is you do things by the book. You go to school, you go to university. He did everything for his family. So he's like, I'm going to pay for university. I'm going to pay for you to do a master's degree if you need to. You get a job, you go into an office. This is the path that you need to follow. And that's what I did. You know, I listened to my father back then, and that's the path that I followed back then. So that's a little bit on how they influenced me and my environment influenced me when I was in my teen years.
Wow, I can really relate
Hmm.
because in my case, it's the same. My father was working as an engineer, and my mom, also very practical. When she realized, when we lived abroad, she realized that English was so important. So when we came back to Spain, she opened a language school.
Wow,
So it's
amazing.
also the this entrepreneur
Yeah.
thing. So I understand how you are this mix of
Yeah.
both.
My
And then,
mom also taught English, sorry to
oh
interrupt you.
really?
Yeah, that's how she started teaching English. But she had a very strong Scottish accent. So she focused more on the adults. But yeah, a lot of similarity there.
So talking about your experience, as you said, you chose to follow more your dad's alignments, let's
Yes.
say. So, and how was that? I mean, how did you feel, or how did you live those years doing that kind of job
Yeah.
work?
I think also growing up in Greece, which is a little bit more of a traditional environment, you don't know that there's any other solution. So I felt good. I felt comfortable. I felt that this is the normal thing that people do. And because I studied sports and then I did a master's degree in marketing, my first job was in Adidas. So it all made sense. Like, look at this, it's amazing.
Both things connecting, right? The
Exactly.
sports and then the company thing.
Exactly, exactly. Because when I was in university, I actually took a step back. I think it was in the second year, and we were doing all things related to sports. And I kind of sat back and I said, I'm not really sure I see myself for the rest of my life teaching tennis or doing something like that. Nothing wrong with it, but I just wanted to do something that was on a much bigger scale and travel and do more things. And at that moment, that's when I had a mentor who told me, you need to go and do marketing. Thank God for that mentor. And yeah, so I felt totally normal. Like, this is amazing. I'm in a job. I've started as an intern, then I started to grow within that role and I got promotions and I got moved around. And Adidas is an amazing company to work for. They really care about their people. And everything seemed as it should be. Perfect, normal. I'm moving, I'm doing things. The opportunity came for me to move to Singapore, and I moved to Singapore within Adidas, and then my life kind of continued to tick this almost mental list that someone else gives you of I went to school, I went to university, I did this, tick, 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 I got a job, okay, great, now I have my own office, wow, I have my own company car, I have this, okay, great, I'm ticking the boxes, I'm going down the list. So it felt quite good to be able to complete that list at that moment.
So, how many years were you in this kind of world?
I was there for 15 years. I
In
worked
different
in
companies?
corporate. Yeah. So I started in Adidas. Then from there, I got headhunted by a company called Emar in Dubai. And I worked for the hospitality department, luxury hospitality. So they manage things like the Burj Khalifa. They manage a lot of hotels, the Armani hotels around Dubai and the Emirates.
So, you moved there?
And I moved there. So they brought me to Dubai. It wasn't that much of a fit for me because that's where my creativity wanted to go out a little bit more, and it was a little bit more structured as an environment. I got headhunted by Sephora, which I loved. It's an amazing company to work for as well. Super fun. So that's where my little child could play and my creativity could come in. And I worked for them in Dubai.
Always in marketing?
Always in marketing, always in marketing. Initially, I was in brand marketing, and then I moved to client marketing. And then the best thing, I continued to work later, but before I go to my last role, which was with Gucci, the best thing that could have ever happened to me did, which was I got fired. And it was the best thing that could have happened to me at that
Really?
time.
Why?
So COVID struck, and as with all companies, we were going in Sephora through a really difficult time. Not a lot of people buy makeup. All the stores were closed. Our bottom line was really suffering. And then there was a meeting that happened internally, and they told us, "We're really sorry, but in order for the company to survive, we need to make some difficult choices." And I
And you
was
were
like,
one of them.
okay, great. Let me do that. And I prefer it's me than my team. And I really wanted to, my team to stay and my team to continue working there. They were younger. Some of them had families. Some of them, I had moved them there from other countries.
How generous.
So yeah, so I really felt that for me, it's okay. I can survive a little bit without it. So I got fired. And I remember I went back home and I wasn't sad. I didn't cry. I wasn't sad. I was just like taken back and I was like, so that just happened to me. And I was talking to my friends, and everyone was like, but what are you going to do now? What's going to happen? It's COVID. I was like, I'm just going to take some time off and figure it out. And that's when the first spark came of maybe I can do something different. Now, I was applying for jobs and I was having interviews for amazing companies, but always something wouldn't be right. Maybe the title, maybe the salary, maybe the industry. So I was being maybe a little bit pickier than I should. And that's when at the same time I was like, I'm going to start studying. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to start studying more on coaching, on personal development, and personal growth. And then I opened this big door and I did a lot of things on my own as a guinea pig. And that's when I started to lovingly work with friends. And the feedback I got from friends was like, this is amazing. Can we do it next week? It was over, a glass
Okay.
of wine or a cup of tea or something. And they're like, can we do it? And then that friend brought someone else, and that someone else brought someone else. And I was like, guys, I don't even know what to charge or anything. I'm just doing it because I love, based on my experience and my past, to help people.
And what kind of help were you
So it was
providing them?
coaching, but more in the business side of things. So maybe a friend was having a lot of conflict with her boss. So I would go and try and help her with that conflict. Maybe someone else was looking to get a promotion, so I would try and help them with that. Maybe someone else was really miserable at their job, and I would help them understand, is this what you really want to do? And the secret is that all business coaching is actually personal coaching, that you first have to work on yourself before you understand, why do I have this conflict? So that's sort of what happened. And then I jumped in and I started doing that. And I was like, I kind of love this. And then the phone rang one day and it was Gucci. And
You
then I was
couldn't
like,
say. Mm.
I right? And then I was like, oh, I have this job in Italy, but I really want to do this. but, and that's when I had started to really realign all my internal world and what I wanted to do. I said yes, like, spoiler alert. And I went and I worked with them for a couple of years, but
And how was it? How was the experience there? Did
the
you like?
experience was amazing. It was amazing. Like the things that I lived, I'm super grateful for. I worked within the marketing department, but I managed one of my parts of my job was managing the VIP clients. So going to their events,
Nice.
managing all the things that were happening around them, gifting events, spending time there, like amazing red carpet experiences all the way around. I was extremely, extremely grateful. Like I remember sometimes I was waking up and I was like, am I really in Korea right now in this hotel with this amazing view? And I've got this X, Y, and Z dinner tonight. And this like, okay, pinch me. This is not true. So my 16-year-old little girl was extremely happy and she was jumping up and down. But the reality was that I wasn't really happy. So there was this almost Instagram versus reality life happening. So Instagram, red carpets, business class flying all over the world, drinking, eating the most amazing things, great experiences, all the clothing and the bags and everything. Like it was a dream. And everyone who would see my Instagram life that we all portray, they would be like,
I want to
girl,
be you.
like, hello, can I just be there with you and carry your bags? But in reality, I lost a lot of weight. I was getting eczema on my face. I was waking up with panic attacks. I remember at some point I was having a meeting. I was having 11 meetings a day. I got an ulcer in my stomach because I didn't have time to properly eat and from the stress.
Oh,
A lot of things were, it's a very fast paced environment. But that was a little bit of an alarm for me that should it really be this way? I remember there was this one time I had a meeting in between my 11 meetings that day. I had a meeting, I had 5 minutes in between, and I had to make a choice. Do I eat or do I cry on the floor? I cried on the floor.
oh
But
my
it was
gosh.
just that feeling that I had. And I remember I was like, okay, I have 5 minutes. I can cry for four. I can go to the bathroom. I can put my makeup back on. And then I can be like, hi, guys. How was your day? Come on, let's get back into things. So
How can you
that's
cry
where
for
I
four
was.
minutes and stop?
Yeah,
I mean, you cannot
I
control
could.
that.
I could.
Oh my gosh.
I had it down to a science by that
But
time. But yeah.
did you feel that someone was pressuring you, or it's yourself? I mean,
Yeah, I think
what
it was
happened?
more that I was so misaligned with this world and I knew it. And it was really interesting because that checklist, I did everything. So I've got the job, I've got an amazing team, I've got a great salary, my apartment is paid and is in the middle of Milan, I'm driving a company car, I've got everything I should have to be happy. And yet, I have a 4 minute cry on the floor. That something is misaligned there, something is not right. And as you say, a lot of people would look at my life and they would say, this is amazing. This is everything you've ever dreamed of. Like if someone told you when you were 16 that this would be your life, having also studied sports and come from a very, very, very little village in Athens, literally, I would be like, I wouldn't believe you. But it was the internal misalignment. It was the misalignment that I didn't want to work for a company. I didn't want to be stuck to an office. I didn't want to have this pressure on top of me. And I didn't want to be working in this system that didn't help me with my personal growth. So, and this is where I started to do a lot of personal value work. And I discovered what my personal values are. And then when I looked at my personal values versus the values that I was embodying working for Gucci, I was like, wait a minute, this is not working. So my personal values are freedom. Yeah, I'm working 70 hours a week. That's not there. My personal values are creativity. Yeah, every single presentation I put out is scrutinized and changed because there are, a lot of people on the top that everyone has their own strategic point of view. So I can't really be creative with things that I want. My value is service. Am I really servicing people from a place of authenticity and true heart and love? Not really. And another one was authenticity. Like, I remember I had to be in these events and you have to be a certain way and look a certain way and show up in a certain way. And I was like, yeah, that's not really me. And that's when I hit the switch and changed my life completely.
Do you remember the moment you made this decision?
It was a lot of mini micro moments. But I think that it was more of an escalation of little moments that I woke up one day and I realized that I cannot operate anymore. Literally, I couldn't open my laptop. Um, I had to take a trip away, and I took a trip and I went to Thailand. And I closed myself in a Muay Thai camp because I still love training. And while I was there, I started to feel alive again because I was free, because I was in nature, because I took time off, because things I could do whatever I wanted, because I wasn't constrained in an office and people weren't asking me things every single day, all day. And I love my team to bits. But that's when it started. And then from there, I started noticing the accumulation of things more and more and more. Till one day, I just picked up the phone and I called my boss and I told him I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna move on. And he's like, who is it? Who is taking you? Where are you going? I said, I don't have another job. He's like, no way. And yeah, the truth was that I had no idea that, what I was going to do, where I
Wow.
was going to go.
How did you feel at that time? Did you feel scared, confused, relieved, happy?
Yeah,
What was the feeling?
I think I felt relieved. I didn't feel scared, surprisingly. I felt quite
You're very
scrutinized.
brave.
Thank you. I felt quite scrutinized in a loving way because when I did it and then I picked up the phone and I told my family and friends, they were like, are you insane? You are leaving this life? For where are you going? Nowhere. I'm going to take some time off. And then I'm going to be a coach. What? Like, what? How are you going to do that? And I had done all the due diligence of getting certified and doing a lot of courses and working a lot on a lot of different things and building up my CV in the background. Um, but I felt free at that moment when I said that. And suddenly, because I had obviously a notice period and I had to work for a couple of months and do a handover and make sure that my team was okay and everything, I just started showing up as myself and I was happy and I felt completely liberated and I felt that this is what I should be doing. So take that to-do list, rip it off, and let's make another one.
Wow. So you felt free, one of your first values, right?
Exactly.
And was
Exactly.
there anyone who supported you at that time? Or everyone thought you were crazy?
I had a lot of friends around me that supported me. I think also my partner was a really big support, and he really pushed me to say, come on, girl, you can do it. I'm here for you. My best friend also supported me. To be fair, a lot of people did tell me that you're crazy, but the people that were really close to me told me that we trust you. We know that you are doing the best for you. Go for it. We're here for you. So, family, friends, and I think that as well, the people that knew me best, like my partner, my family, my friends, the people that were closer to me, knew also what it was that I wanted to do. They could see me that I was sort of, like a beautiful flower that was like, I don't have any water here, and I'm like dying. So, having seen that, they wanted me to be happy. So they supported me in my journey to be able to switch everything around.
And during that journey, that transformation, did you feel any doubts or any moments of, being scared?
Yeah,
You said you're not scared, but were there any moments
for
that you
sure.
doubted your decision?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's this also phenomena of social media that can be quite challenging. Why I bring this up now? Because when you look at social media, you see a world of success. And then when you walk into entrepreneurship and opening your own business and doing your things your way, and you see that that's not necessarily matching, that's when you start to get fear for me that, wait a minute. And the first year was very difficult because I had to reprogram everything around me. I had to reprogram my relationship with money, my relationship with people, my relationship with myself, how I live my life, what success means. I needed to face my inner critic. I needed to really work on changing everything inside of me and everything that I was taught. And when I did that, and then I saw that, wait a minute, the success is not coming the way that I thought it would be, or I see that it is. And of course, don't believe everything you see on social media for sure. But I think it's only normal that sometimes you get that fear that, oh, have I made the right choice? Oof. Things, I'm 3 months in and I'm still not having a lot of clients. I'm 6 months in, I'm still not having a lot of clients. I'm 8 months in, I'm not where I should be. And look at all these other people. And that's where fear came in. And that is something also that I had to really work around. That feeling of comparison and where success comes from, that my success should be like that, or my success should be like this. And once I also took that off the table and I took my relationship with money and I changed that, and when I also changed how I define success and I changed that, that's when things started to flow. And it was beautiful because I had to go through it.
So, how did the meaning of success change from
Yes.
the old Nadina to the new Nadina?
Yeah. So the old Nadina was programmed by family, society, people around her, and where I grew up to feel that success is how much money you have in the bank account, how much you get paid, what is your salary, how big your team is, what is your title, what kind of a car do you drive, where do you live. These things, when you see someone naturally having all these things, oh, they have a big team, they have a great team, they have a great salary, they are traveling all over the world. As I was, my Instagram live, I was extremely successful. Like, I did the list and I had it all: great money, cars, this, that, everything. And then when I went through this phase of, but I have it all, why am I not happy? Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. What is happening? I'm still not happy. When I did that and I rechanged it and then I created my new definition of success, my definition of success now is, have I managed to help a sufficient amount of people this month? Do I have my free time every morning to go and walk in the nature? Do I work for my business, or am I the full business? Am I able to embody my values? Am I free? Yes. Am I authentic? Yes. Do I service from a place of love? Yes. Do I bring my creativity in everything I do? Yes. Do I have that free time to spend with my partner, my friend, my dog? Yes. So there is also a dynamic, obviously, because at the end of the day, we all need to also pay our bills, and we also need to be, we live in a society that we're still very dependent on that. But once all this sort of came together, that's when more people started showing up. And once I told my story, more people showed up. And it's really beautiful because there's so many people that live in misalignment and they don't know that they are. And it's not necessarily about, okay, quit your job, move to another country, do everything differently. It's not about that. I did it like a bit in the extreme way. But it's even things as, do you need to change your leadership style? Do you need to change how you manage relationships around you? Do you need to understand how to bring your values into your current setting, into your current work? What is it that's your comfort zone? Where is it that your comfort zone is keeping you safe? It's all these little things that I also had to break through in order to redefine my success today, and to be where I am now.
Okay, very nice, very beautiful. And so tell us a little bit about the project that you started. I like the name, and tell us a little bit about it.
So, being half Scottish, I have a Celtic side to it. So I decided to name my brand Dara Impact. So, do you know these Celtic knots that you quite often see? They come from the Celts, they come from the Vikings, my background. So there's this specific knot that's called the Dara knot, and that's the logo of my company. And when you look at the Dara knot, it represents the roots of a oak tree. What happens with an oak tree? It's of course a very
Strong.
solid, yeah, big tree, but the roots also have this formation that it really keeps the tree very grounded. So if you go and you try and kick, I mean, a lot of different trees, but especially an oak tree, it's this big that weather or, some really strong force, it's quite difficult for it to even move. And that's where it came from, because I make the parallelism of the growth, and when you work on coaching, and what I do, I call it life strategy, and I'll talk a little bit about it later, is that you need to have the roots. Your foundation needs to be strong. What happens nowadays is that a lot of people focus on the branches. So I have a problem and this is what it is and I want to solve it. Okay. Where does it come from? Where have you experienced it in the past? What is happening subconsciously? That's your conscious mind talking. So if you're working on something that I'm making X and I want to make Y, okay, that's not the problem. Why? Why do you want to make it? Why is it important? Why is it important for you now? Why is that not, so it's, you go really to the roots. And that's how I made that parallel with the Dara knot. Once you work on a strong root system, then you'll start blooming. Then you'll have fruits and vegetables or whatever you plant in your tree is. And yeah, that's how the name came about.
So tell us a little bit more about this project.
Yeah. So I started Dara Impact from the need of fulfilling my own values. And as I said, it started. This is the thing also, that when I jumped out of corporate, there was a lot of things that I loved in corporate. And I realized that these things I can also do in my own business. So helping people, mentoring, growing people, these were things that I loved to do as a leader as well within all of my past roles. And I still have amazing relationships with some of the people in my old teams from Dubai, from Singapore. I still talk to them today because they also saw me as this person. The creativity, the marketing aspects of it, I still have it. So when I started this, I started it from this need of mine to serve others. And I realized also that there was a little bit of a disconnect between what we do as leaders, as business owners, as executives, as founders, and we're all leaders. It doesn't matter if you lead a household or if you lead a multi-billion company. We're all in some sort of transition. And we are so used on working on strategies for others, for our family, for our business, for our companies, for our whatever it is. But how often have you taken a step back and said, I need a strategy for my life? I need a strategy to understand where it is that I need to go. So
Where do I need to grow,
where I
right?
need to grow, exactly.
So everything else
Falls in
falls.
place. And I was quite surprised to see how many people out there had a similar story to mine, that I've got everything I need and I'm not happy. I'm making an amazing salary, I've got a team, I live in a beautiful penthouse, I have X, Y, and Z, but something is not clicking and I don't know why. And that's where we're all in some sort of transition. The first step is for you to be aware that something is not working or you want to do things differently. And then it's to make a plan. A lot of people come to me and they already know where they want to be, that I want to build my own business or I want to do my own thing. A lot of people tell me that I don't want to build my own business, but I want to do things differently, but I'm not really sure how yet. So that's where we that's where we start strategizing and making that plan. You're in point A, you're in point B. Let's see how you get there. And my work is very focused on inner work. So all these steps that I also went through, my first session with all my clients is let's discover your personal values. It's a game I play with cards. I've come up with a card game and I love gamification and all these things. So we start with understanding, what are your personal values? Are you living them now? Where did these come from? How long have you had them? Then we move. I work also with tools like hypnosis, with quantum jumping. So I work with people to, let's take you to meet face to face your inner critic and actually see who that creature, it's not always a person, sometimes it's a creature, who that creature is. So after that, work on masks and fear. What are the masks that you're wearing? Do you think that you need to have it all perfect and you have to have it all figured it out, but that's a mask. So once we start that, and it's a lot of, layers on that, that's when people start to realize that now I get it, why I'm not happy. That makes sense.
And which one's mask number one that you find?
I think the first one is people thinking that they need to have it all together and all perfect. And
Perfection.
perfectionism, that if we show that we don't have it all together, something terrible is going to happen. And that's why burnouts happen. That's why a lot of people stay in relationships that they might not necessarily be happy with. And a lot of people don't, birds say, a lot of people, I find a lot of people lie to themselves. So they're sticking with their subconscious that this is the list that I have to get done, and I'm doing the list. But meanwhile, their subconscious is screaming, saying that you don't have to follow this perfect list of tup, 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 tup. By the time you're 35, you need to have one kid. By the time you're 40, you need to have minimum two kids. Then you need to be saving up for. Why? Who told you this?
And how do you help them listen this inner voice?
It's a lot of subconscious work. So I think my job is to also read under what people are telling me, and this is work that I've been studying for quite a few time, quite a few years. It's to really, when I ask a question, what is it that you want to do with your life? I want to become VP within the next 2 years. That's what you're saying, but I'm reading a lot of different things. So body language, where they're looking, I work with neurolinguistic programming, so I can understand where people, so I look and I, okay, let's go into that a little. Why? Blah, 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 blah. And then with the questions, it's almost like I confront them in a very loving way for them to see what it actually is. Is this your ego talking or is it you? If I told this to your 16-year-old self, what would they tell me now? Why is this important? Where did it come from? And this is a thing also that all the business coaching that I do, and I work a lot with founders and entrepreneurs, and I really help them elevate their business to the next level and, double and triple their revenues, is by doing this work, understanding where are your shadows, where are your blind spots that we don't see on our own because we have this bubble, we have our ego. Our ego is trying to help us stay safe. And you never really look into it, and it's very difficult to admit that actually the life that I've been chasing for the last 15 years, as was I, is not the life that's going to make me happy. And having lived that, I can also be that mirror for that other person and say, is this kind of leadership the one that you want to be? Like everyone in your team is struggles with you and you fight with everyone. Is this who you want to be? No, but my boss and that. Okay, who told you this? And then we go into subconscious working, and with hypnosis and with a lot of other tools that I use, we really manage to get in there.
You get them the perspective.
I give them the perspective, yeah, and the depth.
Yeah. So now with all the perspective that you have about you, if you had that little girl, that little Nadina in front of you, what would you tell her?
Don't change anything. Do everything exactly as you are and be yourself in every single moment. Don't conform to what others tell you. And a lot of people tell me, wow, what if you have done this? What if you would have done this since you were, 20 or 25? Imagine now, what if you had studied therapy? What if you had done that? And I said, I wouldn't change a thing. I had to go through heartbreak. I had to go through trauma. I had to go through abuse. I had to go through these difficult moments in life. I had to be on the floor crying for 4 minutes between meetings for me to be who I am now. So I would just tell her that be yourself, don't conform.
Amazing. That's accepting your story the way
Exactly.
it's happened.
Exactly. And it's so easy to, sometimes take out the imaginary whip and start hitting ourselves about I shouldn't have done that and I regret doing this and I shouldn't have married that guy and I shouldn't have fallen in love with that guy and I shouldn't have had this friend as a best friend. You should have. What did you learn? What did it teach you? How much stronger you are now because of that. And for that, also, every single moment in the past that has been a difficult moment has made me become who I am today. And maybe I couldn't help someone who is going through the same thing. So I had to go through it in order to be able to help them.
Beautiful. Let's now look at the other way around. Let's imagine that the little Nadina is here looking at you. What do you think that she would feel most proud of seeing your life now?
Yeah. I think she would take a good look at me and I think she would be proud that I got to the top of my career and that I was bold enough and I had the courage to walk away and let it all go to do what makes me happy. And
Wow.
that's one of the most difficult thing. There's this beautiful term that we use in business. It's called the golden handcuffs. So it refers to jobs like all these big jobs that it's literally that you're wearing handcuffs there, but they're made of gold. So, they kind of keep you, and you look at them, okay, they're pretty and they're gold. So I think breaking open and finding the key to unlock these golden handcuffs and create a life that is truly aligned with who I am. And I wake up every morning and I'm super excited to get on meetings and calls and help people. I think that's what she would be more proud of.
Wow. And all this journey with so many different experiences, living in so many different countries, um, what do you think are your biggest learnings, the things that you carry now?
Hmm, good question. I think each country had something very different to teach me. And every chapter has been very painful to close uh, because I have to restart. So I think resilience would be something that it has taught me. And that starting over is as difficult as you make it in your mind. And why I say that is that in every country, I had friends that were as close as family. I lived in Singapore. My friends were my family. We all lived very close to each other, and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm making pasta. Do you want to come and eat?" Okay, great, guys. I had such a bad day at work. Who's got wine? I'm coming. So we created this very close community and family of friends, and then I had to close that door and move on. So I think yeah, I would say resilience, the the way to start things very easily for me, as scary as they seem. So the opportunity to start over, but I'd say, and I think to be able to find silver linings in everything, as difficult as things are. I consider myself an extremely optimistic person, and I will always find a silver lining in things, no matter how difficult they are.
Wow, I can tell you really you're you're always smiling. You're I don't know. I can see your energy, very optimistic and very brave. It's not only what you say; it's I feel it
Yeah,
really. You know.
the embodiment is
Yeah,
important also. Yeah.
yeah. So before we end this conversation, I would like you to send a message to those women who are afraid of,
Hmm.
being bold, making those decisions. They feel something
Hmm.
that has to change,
Yeah.
but there's something preventing them to do it. So, what would you tell those women?
I would tell them they're not alone. I think that's the most important thing because we have been taught as women that being strong means doing things alone. And you're not alone. There's friends, there's people around you, there's coaches, there's mentors, there's therapists. You are not alone. You don't have to go through this alone. And I would also tell them to really tap into that instinct and the gut feeling that they have because as women, we know. So, no matter how much you are trying to convince yourself that this is what I should be doing, I should be in this job, I should be grateful, I should be in this relationship, I should be working in this way. If your gut feeling is telling you no, go for it. And you don't have to figure it out all alone. As soon as you feel that little, I'm not happy. This is really not working for me. Your body is also going to tell you the truth. For me, it was eczema, very clear. But as soon as that happens, seek help,
So you
reach
said
out, and you're not alone. Have someone with you on that journey. You don't have to go through it alone.
you said about the body. Do you think that when people get an illness, do you think it's always or sometimes related to something that is not working on your alignment?
100%.
Really?
100%. I have a lot of examples. A client who I was recently working with, She was in a relationship that was she was not free to express herself the way that she wanted to express herself. She was in the relationship for 12 years. What happened? Thyroid problems, cancer in the thyroid. She took it out, she broke up, she divorced, never to happen again. Even myself, like whenever something happens in my body, now that I know, I will look into it in a different way. Quite recently in the summer, I was very connected, feminine, masculine way. I was very connected to my masculine way of drive, go, partnerships, work, all these things. What happened? I threw out my knee on my right side, and the right side is connected with the masculine side, and the knee is connected with flexibility and rigidity and control. 6 months before that, I had the same side, on the same side, an accident on my wrist, and I broke my wrist. And these days, another flexibility control, having grip, having everything really closely to be able to do things masculine side. And 3 days ago, and that was when I took another step back because I found myself again going into the grind and drive and doing a lot of things. It comes from my passion. Like I just love helping people. I was walking and my ankle just twisted on the same side, and I was like, okay, I get it. I'm gonna take a step back, step into my feminine. I get it. Attract, don't chase. I got it. Stop it. So yes,
Well, at least you know that you have that side too. You just
exactly,
need to connect a little bit
exactly,
more to it.
exactly.
Wow, what an amazing story. I like it because it's a story that it's not like you lost someone or you had a terrible divorce, but it's a story that many people can relate
Yeah.
because many people are not happy with their life and they sometimes feel they need a change. So I think it's really amazing because you were very like at the top,
Definitely.
and that's when it's more difficult to say no.
For sure.
So
When you have everything. And I think it's almost like you have to lose yourself and who you think you are and who others want you to be in order for you to fit in to the society. When you lose yourself, you will find yourself. So that's a really beautiful twist on how I see my story as well.
thank you so much for sharing your story.
My pleasure.
And I would like to give you as a present, as a gift, this flower, this orchid.
Thank you.
So it's going to connect you a little bit more with your feminine energy.
Yes, I'll keep it on my other side.
So I hope when you look at it, it reminds you to your strength, resilience, and your light and your beauty.
She's beautiful. I'm going to name her Alicia.
Thank you. Well,
There
you
you
can
go.
say it the Greek way, Alethea. I love
Alethea,
it.
true.
Because that means
Yes,
true.
yes, Alethea. And it's a good reminder to always be true to yourself.
That's right.
There you
That's
go.
right.
It all connects.
That's right. So thank you again for
Thank you.
being here with us today. In
I
this
can't believe it passed so
space.
fast. It's like 5 minutes past.
So it was a
Likewise.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank
And
you.
I want to thank you too for listening to us, to this story. I hope you liked it. It inspired you some way. And please, if you can, why don't you share your feelings, your comments, what you liked best of this conversation. And don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any episode. I'm going to see you next week in another episode here on Feminine Flames.